Hi there. Good morning, everyone, or good day, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the mindfulness exercises daily meditation today. My name is Sarah May, and I will be guiding you in approximately a 20-minute meditation. But I am signed on here a minute ahead of the hour, so we'll give it some time here to let a few more folks join us. But we're joining live, or we're streaming live today on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. Just say hello, maybe say where you're from, let others know that you're here to support them in meditation. And we are going to be doing a fun meditation today that I call the coffee cup contemplation. So if you have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea nearby, or you want to run and get one, we will use that today in our meditation. So a little bit more of a casual session, but hello, everyone. So good to see you here. And hello to our future listeners who might be joining later on, watching this as a recording. It will be saved for you on Facebook and LinkedIn and on YouTube. So if you miss it or if you have to cut out early, you can always come back and do the replay. Hi, Anna from Italy. First time here. Welcome, welcome. And from California. Toktum from Sacramento. I hope I'm saying your name right. Shanti from Brussels. Jacqueline from Kansas. We have people from all over. So good to see. I'm Sarah May again, and I am currently in Spain, joining you guys from southern Spain. So hello, Julia from Bali, Chanel from Nashville. So great to see you guys all here. And thank you for saying hi in the comments and just letting others know of your presence. This can be this is an interesting experiment here, right? These live streamed meditations. But I do want you guys to know that we are in community and you are watching live with several others, and you may be watching this as a recording with several others, but you are part of a cohort here of a lot of fellow practitioners who are interested in mindfulness and meditation. So sometimes it's nice to remind ourselves of that truth. From Poland, from Orlando, Christine from Chicago. Welcome, everyone. Kevin from Scotland. Amy from Massachusetts. That's where I'm from. Hello. So welcome, you guys. So as I was saying, if you just joined us, we are going to do a coffee cup contemplation today. So if you do have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea nearby and you want to grab it, you're welcome to. And if you don't have that, that's totally fine too, right? We can use our imagination and just do a little bit of visualization today. So perfectly fine either way. But we'll meditate or do this contemplation for about 20 minutes. And then we'll stick around and discuss a little bit and answer your questions. So Karina from Mexico, Maria from the DMV, yeah, everyone. Darlene from Canada, welcome, welcome, welcome. So if you do have a mug, go ahead and grab it. You can have your mug nearby, hold it in your hands, whatever feels comfortable. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. Let's just go ahead and find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes if you would like to. Take a nice full breath in, a nice long and relaxing breath out. And just find your seat. Find your place. And you're welcome to lean back a little bit. Take a comfortable posture, but do sit fairly upright, right? Don't slouch too much. Allow the spine some length, some spaciousness. And just breathe in and out through your nose. a natural, normal flow of breath. And if you're holding that cup of tea or that cup of coffee, just feel the weight and the warmth of that cup in your hands. And just let yourself settle through the body and let the mind settle too. It might help to just check in with the sensation of the mug in your hands, or just the easy flow of breath. Allowing yourself this time, allowing yourself this space. Maybe also aware of just the connection between the body and this seat, this place. Arriving at this moment with full attention. And our intention today is to walk through a little contemplation of this cup of tea in our hands. And then a little contemplation of interconnectedness. And so, what about this mug or this cup that we're holding? Thinking for a moment about how you got it. How did it get to you? Maybe it was a gift. Maybe you bought this mug. But either way, just thinking for a moment about the person, the people, all the hands that were involved in one way or another, involved in delivering this mug to you. All the hands that were involved in stocking the shelves at the store, transporting the mug from wherever it originated. Maybe someone working at the store, someone working at a package facility, someone flying the plane or sailing the ship or driving the truck or literally handing you this mug. Think about all of the hands and helpers this mug has passed through on its journey to you. How many lives in one way or another touched this mug before it arrived here in your hands? Then perhaps thinking about the mug itself, the materials that it's made from. My mug is ceramic. It is made of clay. It comes from the earth. And as you hold this mug in your hands, can you sense that in part you're holding the earth? Can you sense the minerals within? All the organic material that makes up this earthen element, this clay. Can you sense the processes that had to occur to create this material as it is right here and right now? Can you sense sunshine in this mug? You sense fire in the mug. What about water or wetness? Or what about the wind, movement, and all of the geological processes that had to occur to create the clay from which this mug is shaped? And if we could look at this mug even more closely, sense into all the individual atoms that make up this mug. Could we sense too into the spaciousness surrounding each one of those individual atoms? Can we sense the spaciousness in this mug? Recognizing that for every tiny little atom that makes up this mug, or for every tiny little atom we might refer to as mug, there's a whole lot of spaciousness that we might refer to as not mug. And the same is true for you. For every teeny tiny little atom that we refer to as you, there's also a whole lot of spaciousness. And if we were to look very, very closely at the borderline between mug and the hands, is it possible that that border is not as clear and discreet as we might once have thought that it was? And then what about the tea or the coffee within the mug? Can we sense into presence or the assistance of all of the hands that were involved in bringing this coffee or tea to you? Where is this tea from? And if you bought it, thinking about all of the hands that brought it to you, the cashier at the store, the person who stocked the shelves, all the people involved in transportation, all the people involved in cultivating the plants. Keep going further back. We can keep following each spider web to one side or the other, up and down. Can we sense into that web of all the hundreds, thousands, millions, infinite beings that were somehow part of this cup of tea? Thinking about the tea leaves themselves. Can we sense into the earth element? Can we observe sunshine in the tea leaf? Can we observe rain in these tea leaves, for they require sun and rain to grow? Can we sense, the worms in the earth, all the microorganisms in the soil, the wind, the weather, the clouds? Can we sense into the entire web of interconnectedness that these tea leaves are a part of, that these tea leaves represent? Can we feel and sense into that as nourishment, as support, as if the entire universe has come together in this one moment to provide us with this warmth, to provide us this taste, to provide us with this joy, this comfort, this healing or nourishing sustenance. And what does it feel like as we sit with the truth of this interconnectedness? What does it feel like to assign it that quality of a web of support, a web of nourishment, even love, if you will? As we think about, the thousands, millions, billions, infinite hands that made this moment possible. As we think about the thousands, millions, billions, infinite years of geological processes, of wisdom, of knowing what plants are good for tea and what plants make coffee. What does it feel like to just rest in this moment, feeling held, feeling nourished, feeling supported, and feeling intimately connected to other beings, to the earth itself, to all the elements, to this moment, right here and right now. And what might it feel like to be ever mindful, always mindful, from moment to moment, mindful of this depth of interconnectedness as we move about our day? How might that help us to feel supported, nourished, or held? How might that even change our behavior? Open us to a sense of gratitude, perhaps. What would it feel like for you to continue to be mindful of this truth of interconnectedness all day, just as we explored a little bit a little bit with our cup of tea. So think on that a little bit. Just slowly open your eyes as you're ready. Maybe take a sip of your coffee or tea. And welcome. Welcome back to this online space in which we are still interconnected, unique or new to this moment way. So welcome. Yeah, I thought that would just be like a fun little meditation. It's a nice meditation to do, and if you can, you know, remember like any time that you're just holding a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, I think something that most of us do at least one point a day. um, it's a nice like little reminder to just take a moment to think about all of the hands all over the world that made it possible that here I am holding this mug that's like made from the earth and is holding some mint tea in my hand. And, what would it be like if I really took just some time every day to think about that mint tea and all the hands that grew and cultivated that tea and brought it to me, and all the real souls and real human beings that were involved in my enjoyment of this cup of tea. If I really took the time to think about that for a little bit, at least one moment of every day, I don't know, I think I would just feel a lot more grateful. I would remember a lot more gratitude in my daily life. I think I would feel a lot more nourished and supported always in my daily life. And I think I would feel a lot less alone in some sense. Um, so yeah, someone just said, "Thank you. I needed this." I think we all do. I think we all do. Um, Viral, I hope I'm saying your name right, says, "I feel like I'm bathing in God's love and sharing the love with everyone here." That's such a lovely, beautiful sentiment. So thank you for sharing. Someone wrote, Shafri said, this is similar to NLP technique. I'm not familiar with that technique, but I will certainly Google it later. NLP, love to learn more about that. But yeah, this meditation that we did, really simple. You can do it with almost any object, but it's nice to do with a cup of tea. Just take some time out of your day to recognize the truth of the interconnectedness and what we otherwise would just like dismiss as a separate, like ordinary object, you know? Um, can we see in this ordinary object that we generally think of as totally separate, like how we do with everything that we can give a name or a label to. We think it's just separate and stand alone, and that it just somehow just magically appeared as a mug, and here it is, and I'm holding the mug, right? But can we take some time to really think about, like, where is this coming from? And on some level, it's coming from, just many, many hands, many, many people, many, many processes, many, many different elements. We talked about like earth and sunshine and the rainwater and, fire and the wind and even the space that's available in this mug. If we're to really like zoom in on an atomic level, each atom of this mug is surrounded by spaciousness. Um, so yeah, it can be a really fun meditation to do, to just remind ourselves of the interconnectedness of all things. And why would we do that? Why would we bother to do that? Well, as I was saying, generally anything that we can give a label to, like mug, uh, we just kind of like make this mistake or this kind of assumption, or we just don't really think about it. We just think of it as just like a totally separate object. And we do that with objects all the time. Like there's mug, there's chair, there's picture frame, there's the air conditioning, there's, my glasses, my headphones, et cetera, right? But we do that with ourselves too. And we do that with other people too, right? I'm Sarah May. Um, there's Anna and Amy and all these separate, totally separate people listening in to this meditation. Um, but and when we do that, when we make that mistake, you know, it can cause a lot of suffering, right? Not only when we think of things as separate, or just not really think of them as separate, but like unconsciously think of them as separate. um I think it leads to a lot of loneliness. It leads to a lot of feelings of like being disconnected, feeling alone, feeling disconnected. um, that comes with a lot of pain, that comes with a lot of suffering. It also, if I think that I'm separate and I think this mug is separate or that like ant over there is separate, whatever it is, I'm a lot more likely to be okay with acting in a way that harms those things, right? Um, you know, if I think of myself and everything in this world as separate, to me personally, it's like, and you can explore this for yourself, but if I think I'm like totally separate and disconnected and alone, suddenly my life has a lot less meaning and my life has a lot less of a sense of purpose. Um, my actions have a lot less meaning because if they're not connected to anything or anyone, then they carry like a lot less weight. Um, but if I can continually remind myself that nothing is separate and that I'm not separate, suddenly my life has more meaning and more purpose, and every single little thing I do um, matters. I matter. If I'm connected to everything around me, like I matter a lot more, and the things around me matter a lot more. This mug matters when it's not just a mug, but when it's like a representation of the like many, many hands that had to come together to create this mug, to transport this mug, to deliver this mug, to bring me this mug, right? This cup of tea suddenly matters when it's not just a cup of tea, but when it's like, you know, hundreds and thousands of years of ancient wisdom that understood that this is the plant that makes tea, and how to cultivate that plant, and all the sunshine and all the rain and all the earth and all the many hands that grew that plant and harvested it and transported it and brought it to the store and brought it to me, right? Suddenly, like there's just a lot more meaning there, and I feel a lot better about this cup of tea, and I feel a lot better about like my relationship to it. I'm being reminded of all the beautiful ways in which I am like supported and held and nourished by this world versus feeling like totally alone and disconnected and separate from this world, right? Um, so yeah, Anna says, it's so nice to feel connected to everyone with love and compassion. Yeah. And it's true. So these little, mindfulness of our interconnectedness, the mindfulness of the mug is, really good reminder of that. So I think so that's part of the why, that's part of the why. If we can remember our interconnectedness, uh, we can give our lives like a lot more meaning, a lot more purpose. And, you know, I'm going to be a lot more conscious then of my actions and my behaviors. If everything I do matters and I'm connected to everyone else and everything else, I'm going to be a lot more careful about not taking any harmful action or not participating in any harmful action, because I understand a little bit more that I'm not just hurting someone or something out there, but harmful action is going to come back to me because I exist in this universe where we're all operating in a principle of interconnectedness, right? And that's just the truth of the reality that I'm within. Um, so anything I do, I'm going to be a little bit more careful to make sure that what I put out, what's my role in this giant web of interconnectedness. I want to make sure what I put out is helpful. Is helpful. Like I want to be out there farming some tea for somebody else, right? So that I'm somehow like contributing positively in this whole web of interconnectedness you know, because of interconnectedness, everything matters. And so then everything is either going to, you know, start this ripple of mattering in a positive way or start this ripple of mattering in a negative way, right? If that makes sense. Um, so yeah, So, one way to look at that is be careful about taking harmful action and try to avoid that as best you can. Another way to look at that is like when I do tiny little things that are positive or that are good or that are helpful or beneficial, like it really matters. It really matters. I think maybe a lot of us feel like I'm just one person. What about me? Like, what can I do? What does it matter what I do? Um, and that's true. You're just one person. We're just one person. But as we saw with our little coffee cup contemplation, we're not one separate person totally removed from this infinite web of interconnectedness, right? We're not just one person, like out here operating as a little island, like all on our own somehow, right? Yeah, we're one person, but we're part of this, you know, extraordinary infinite web of interconnectedness that we can only really barely like scratch the surface of in terms of our mindfulness and awareness. So yeah, you as just one person, you can do a lot, and whatever you do to be helpful or to be beneficial really really matters. Think of it as like that smile that you flash someone when you're walking down the street, like, well, you're just one person, but if you smile at someone, they're probably going to smile back. And maybe they're still smiling a little bit when they walk by the next person that they see, right? And so on and so on and so on. And in that way, like, you're just one person, but if you decided I'm going to be the first to smile, I'm going to just say hello, you never truly know. You'll never be able to truly see like how far that one smile actually went, how far it ended up. So that's another way that I hope like doing some of these meditations can give you a little more like hope for this world and a little more motivation to to go out and do good things and be a helper, and put good energy out there, and call out harmful behavior when you see it, and etc., because you are just one person, but you're not one separate person. We are all intimately connected, and all of the grand scale like systems and structures are made up of all these one persons, right? Are just groupings of all these one persons, right? So we're not ever separate. We're all part of a web, and we're all part of several different webs, right? Yeah, and all our actions and decisions reflect on others, and we can see this, yeah, with environment, with wars, absolutely, absolutely. Um, if I want there to be peace in the world, how can I practice peace, better practice peace within, right? Because um, it matters, right? It matters, right? If I might just be one person, but am I practicing peace within? And am I then, you know, flapping the butterfly wings of peace and rippling only peace out into the world? Or am I, uh, you know, contributing to anger, contributing to violence, contributing to harm in any way and rippling that out into the world? Either way, like whatever I do is connected to everyone around me, everything around me, and vice versa. So if you are lucky enough to be aware and to be mindful of your actions, well, then you're lucky enough to have a really good chance to contribute to the world that you want to live in, right? And really be an agent for change. So yeah, so thanks you guys for everyone joining us. I just want to remind people, we're live on LinkedIn and Facebook and on YouTube. So if I'm reading someone's comment that you don't see and it makes no sense, then that is why. But we're live on these 3 platforms. And if you missed the meditation, of course, this recording will be saved. So you can always go back and watch from the beginning on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. But yeah, today we did a very simple meditation on the cup of tea or the cup of coffee, and just contemplating like the interconnectedness that we're able to see in just this one simple object, you know? Um, yeah. So, you know, as we did this meditation, we thought about, the mug, for example, the ceramic mug, and where did it come from, and how did it get to me, and how many hands had to touch it along the way, and how much, you know, how connected is this to like all the elements of the earth and the universe and the spaciousness and the wind and the sun and the water and the fire and all of that, right? Um, but then as we move towards the end, we asked ourselves, can we sit with that truth a little bit? Can we sit with the truth of interconnectedness? And can we like assign to it this kind of quality of like, this is, proof, if you will, that you in this moment, you're being nourished, you're being held, you're being supported, you know? So what was it like at that point of the meditation to kind of contemplate those things, right? You know, because I think the cynic would say, this interconnectedness, it's kind of proof of nothing. But I think that, we can also say, like, well, we don't know. So why not say, like, wow, all of the hands that came together to make this mug, to produce this mug, to bring me this mug, to make, produce, bring me the tea, all of the processes of the natural world that had to come together to bring this mug into existence and into my hands, all of the processes of the natural world that came together to bring me this tea. Why not like assign that a positive quality, right? Like, look how I'm being cared for. Look how I'm being nourished. Look how I'm being held. Like, this is amazing, right? Um, and so, I think that's something to explore a little bit. Like, can you feel into that with a sense of joy and a sense of awe and wonder and expansiveness? Like, what a miracle is this cup of tea? Um, or, is there some resistance there? Do you like notice a little bit of like a closing down, a little bit of like, that can't be true, and just notice that. I'm not saying there's any right or wrong, but I think that's where sometimes this meditation can get really interesting is when we like just explore a little bit of like what might be like an emotional reaction to working through some of these types of contemplations where we're kind of working through interconnectedness. And yeah, so I'm gonna jump to over to some of the comments here. um, Mark says, how do you use that transference of energy and turn yourself into a type of energy to cause an effect similar to the Famboni equation, where everything destabilizes and sound right before it's put back together in its same place? Okay, yeah, that's a little above my pay grade, I think, Mark. But let's start with just the first part of that. You know, how do you use that transference of energy and turn yourself into a type of energy to cause an effect? I mean, I think mindfulness. I mean, to simplify mindfulness, this is the beauty of this meditation, because when I do this meditation and I become mindful of what I'm calling this web of interconnectedness, when I become mindful of that, all of a sudden I have an opportunity to go, oh, like I can choose now, like what kind of energy, what type of energy to put forth and how to act in the world, right? Um, and if I'm acting like with an awareness of the web of interconnectedness, and then I'm acting with intent to minimize harm in whatever way I possibly can and do good and be a helper. That's how I think we can turn ourselves into a type of energy that, all energy is going to cause an effect. There's no like energy that's just totally neutral that is going to like end up not connected to anything, right? That's the beauty of the interconnectedness, right? So every time that we act, we're part of a web still. We're causing some type of an effect, whether we're doing it with intent or not. And so the beauty of mindfulness is like, wow, now I have a chance to, act and move through this world with like mindfulness, with intention, with purpose, with meaning. And I have a good opportunity to do a lot less harm, right? And we're not talking about like, oh, now that we understand interconnectedness, like everything everywhere can always be perfect, right? we're human beings. Um, but we can try to at least move through the world a little bit more mindfully, and act in ways that do less harm and lead to more and greater positive outcomes. Rachel says, yeah, I love the butterfly wing analogy. It's so challenging, yes, at this time to not be pulled in the direction of anger and betrayal. Yeah, this is so true, and this is why I just love doing this type of mindfulness meditation, and why I really wanted to do it today. Because, yeah, it's so easy. We're living in this time where we do feel extra. I mean, I don't know, do we feel extra separate versus the people that were living 2000 years ago? I don't know, but I mean, we feel extra separate now. I think, and that's what matters. um we feel separate, we feel divided, we feel like there's this side and there's that side. We feel angry, we feel frustrated, we feel like, nothing that I can do will matter. I'm just one person. I'm totally alone. And I think that these types of mindfulness meditations are just really, really good reminders, and hopefully by remembering our interconnectedness, we can fill our cups, right? We can fill our cups, and we with this like hopefulness and this energy of like, no, I do matter, and everything I do does matter. My thoughts matter, my actions matter, the energy that I put out into the world matters. None of it is neutral. All of it is part of this web. All of it is connected. And thanks to mindfulness, as much as I want to like yell and scream and, you know, get angry and be mean to the people or the systems or the processes or the whatever that I feel has hurt me. um Reality check, when I put that kind of anger and I put that kind of harmful action out into the world, I'm not helping, and I'm not acting as a helper, right? And you know there's better ways to do things. And thanks to mindfulness, I can kind of take a pause, dial it back a little bit, and go, well, what is the better way to do things? Um, it sounds so trite, but if all of us used war to stop war, then there would always be war, right? Like, you can't, like, you know, use violence to stop violence and then wonder why the whole world is violent. That's not my quote, that's from somebody else, but I think, it bears repeating. I wish I could remember who said that. Maybe someone else will. But, we can't use violence to stop violence and then wonder why the whole world is violent. It's not how it works. It's helpful. Why do we do any of these meditations? Why do we do these meditations? Because they're helpful. And it's helpful, I think, to take a step back, even if it's just like 30 seconds, 1 minute every morning with your cup of coffee. Just take a step back and go, like, I'm not alone. None of us are alone. All of my actions, everything I do in this world is connected. Even my silly, simple little cup of coffee here is a reminder of the truth of interconnectedness, right? It's a reminder of the hundreds and thousands of hands, and processes, and people and places and things that had to come together to bring me this cup of coffee. And if, what would it be like to take that 30 seconds, to take that 1 minute, or to do this as a formal meditation, every single day at the start of your day, you know, what would it be like? Hopefully, if we could keep exercising this muscle of mindfulness and continue again and again to be reminded, you know, like, hey, I'm part of something bigger than just me. I'm not alone. I'm not disconnected. My actions have real meaning. My actions have real purpose. You know, well, I think the world would be really different because I think, if it was me and if I could remember that at all times, I'd be a lot less likely to act out in ways that were harmful, and I'd be a lot more likely to put energy into acting in ways that are helpful. And I think I would be more hopeful that even my teeny tiny little individual helpful actions um, matter and will really land and would really matter. So that's what I think, but I encourage you guys to continue to exploring this topic on your own, and really decide for yourselves if you agree, right? Really decide for yourselves through the practice of mindfulness, through the meditation. And if you want to do this meditation at home, you don't have to have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You can just pretend. But what we did today was just kind of settle in to a position of comfort with our cup of tea or cup of coffee and just started this process of contemplation. Where did I get this mug? Where did it come from? How many people were involved in the journey of mug not existing to mug existing right here in my hands? You can think of it in terms of like, wow, there was a lot of people involved in this process of mug arriving with my coffee. Reminder of our interconnectedness. You can think about it in terms of like, can I see the earth and the clay in this mug? Can I see the sunshine in this mug? Can I see the wind and the water in this mug? Can I see the spaciousness in this mug, right? And wow, like here in this mug, like I'm holding the entire universe, right? And we can think of our interconnectedness in that way. Arlene, says she missed it. Arlene, this will be saved, so you can always go back to the recording on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. And the meditation is right at the start. We did about 20 minutes just thinking about our cup of tea and how just something as simple as a cup of tea can really remind us of this deeply, deeply, deeply complex web of interconnectedness that we are all in. And why would we do that? Why would we care? Why do we care? Well, because just imagine what it would be like if I was continuously aware and mindful of my interconnectedness, well, I might feel a little less alone. I might feel a little less disconnected. I might be more aware of all the amazing ways in which the universe is currently in this moment, right here and right now, nourishing me and holding me and supporting me. And I would also be aware that because I'm interconnected, because I'm part of this grand, wonderful web, that I matter. And what I do matters, and the way that I move through the world matters, and what I post on Facebook matters, right? And so I'd be, a little more careful and a little more understanding that if I'm putting negative or harmful energy out there, you know, that's spreading to the web, and eventually it's going to come back to me. And so if I want to be a real agent for change, it starts within, in my heart, in my space, the energy that I put forth. Um, and I can really like use this knowledge of the truth of interconnectedness to be a lot more mindful when it comes to how I act in the world. Um, so I think that's why it matters. But do the meditation on your own. Explore, and see what pops up for you. See how it feels. We can take this in many different directions. And if you need the voice of a guide, this video is saved for you on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So you can always find it there and go back and listen from the start. And you can find a lot more meditations and a lot more advice just about mindfulness meditation in general at mindfulnessexercises.com. And you can even search in the search bar there, just type in the word interconnectedness or connection and just see what comes up, right? So thank you guys so much for joining in on the live stream. Thank you so much for your comments and for just your presence here. It really matters. It really matters, right? Look at how all of us are here supporting each other in meditation and doing good things. And it's nice to know that you're all out there, right? So thank you so much. May you be well, may you be safe, and may you use at least one thing that you learned here today to brighten someone else's day. All right. Bye, everyone.